Stop for a moment, because I am speaking to you before your alarm sounded, before your thoughts rushed in, before fear tried to climb back into your chest. I was already in your room. I watched the exact second your spirit woke up. I saw the heaviness trying to settle over you again, the same heaviness you're tired of carrying, the one you never admit out loud, the one that follows you from one morning to the next. And I need you to hear me with everything inside you. You were not supposed to wake up fighting this battle alone. I came to break what has been suffocating you. You felt that tightness in your chest, the quiet ache, the thought, not again, not this morning. I saw it, and I placed my hand over your heart before you even opened your eyes. The enemy tried to reach you before the sun did. But I reached you first. Right now, as you listen, your spirit is reacting, trembling, awakening, because it recognizes my presence. It remembers my voice. It feels the weight of God stepping into your morning. Let me tell you what this moment truly is. This is not a video. This is not coincidence. This is me interrupting what was trying to ruin your day. This is me shifting the atmosphere inside you, slowly, deeply, powerfully. This is the beginning of your change. And before I speak to the deepest wound inside you, before I tear down the heaviness that has followed you for too long, I want you to do something that will shake the darkness off your morning. Jesus, take my morning. Take my heart. Not as a ritual, but because the moment you declare this, the chains that tried to tighten around you at dawn begin to break. I'm here. I'm speaking. And I will not let you start this day alone. I saw the heaviness that wrapped around you the moment you opened your eyes, that quiet pressure in your chest, the lingering thoughts from yesterday, the feeling that something is pressing down on your spirit before the day even begins. You didn't choose this weight. It arrived without warning, uninvited, familiar in a way you wish it wasn't. But I want you to understand something sacred. I see every battle that begins before your feet touch the floor. You think you are just waking up, but I see the spiritual storm that tries to meet you at dawn, shadows that whisper failure, fear that breathes too close, memories that rise like a tide you cannot hold back. And in that moment, when you feel the pull to hide under the covers, when your first thought is, Lord, I don't know how to do today, I come closer. I place my presence between you and the weight sitting on your soul. I stand in front of the darkness that tries to reach you at sunrise. I whisper into the very place that hurts the most. You don't have to be strong alone. Let me carry what you cannot. The heaviness you feel is not a sign of my absence. It is the place where I meet you with deeper tenderness. Your tiredness does not offend me. Your heaviness does not push me away. Your hidden tears do not make me grow distant. Every sigh is a prayer I answer before you even finish breathing it. You say, Lord, I feel numb, but I say, I am stirring what has been asleep. You say, Lord, I feel overwhelmed, but I say, I am lifting what you can't see yet. You say, Lord, I feel forgotten, but I say, I have been beside you since the first second of this morning. There are battles that break when you speak my name. There are weights that fall when you let me into the first thoughts of your day. There are chains that snap the moment you realize you are not waking up alone. And as you are listening right now, as your heart is slowly unclenching, as something inside you softens just a little, feel this truth sinking into you. You are not fighting the morning. You are being held through it. And if these words are reaching you, healing you, awakening something in you, if you want more moments like this, more of my voice, more of my presence, more of my guidance for your heart, then let this be your next step. Subscribe to this channel so my messages can keep meeting you right when you need them most, because I will keep speaking. And I don't want you to miss what I'm preparing for your next dawn. There are changes I begin in you long before you feel them, long before your mind understands, long before your emotions catch up, long before your life reflects what I am doing beneath the surface. You often look at your mornings and think nothing is different. You wake up and say, Lord, I feel the same. I don't see anything new. I don't feel any breakthrough. But I need you to understand something holy and quiet. My greatest shifts usually begin in silence. You expect transformation to feel like lightning, loud, bright, undeniable. But most of the time, It feels like a gentle stirring in the deepest part of your spirit, a soft pull toward peace, a thought you didn't have before, a strength you can't explain, a calm that doesn't match your circumstances. This is how I work, subtle enough not to overwhelm you, powerful enough to reshape your entire life. Think of how the earth turns beneath the sunrise. The world doesn't announce its movement. There is no thunder, no warning, no sound, but the light still comes, the darkness still shifts, the day still begins. In the same way, I am turning something inside you, quietly, steadily, faithfully. You may not see it yet, but your heart has started to breathe differently. Your thoughts are beginning to soften. Your fears don't grip you with the same strength they once did. Your spirit is learning to recognize my presence faster. These are not small things. These are signs of a holy shift. You say, "Lord, I feel slow." But I say, "You are becoming steady." You say, "Lord, I don't see movement." But I say, "You are being reshaped from the inside." You say, "Lord, I feel weak." But I say, "I am teaching you how to stand without fear." The shift you cannot see is already rewriting the path ahead of you. The decisions you will soon make, the clarity that will rise in your mind, the peace that will feel strangely natural, all of it is being prepared right now, quietly, in the background of your spirit. And hear me clearly. Just because you don't notice the change does not mean the change isn't real. The seed grows long before it breaks the soil. The healing begins long before the pain disappears. The miracle starts long before your eyes recognize it. So when you wake up and feel nothing, when the silence feels heavy, when the morning looks exactly like yesterday, remember this. The unseen shift is often the most powerful one, because what I build in the quiet becomes unshakable in the storm. I am working in places you cannot measure. I am moving in ways you cannot yet track. And one day soon, you will look back and whisper, "Something changed in me, and it started on a morning when I thought nothing was happening. I saw the moment you opened your eyes, and your first thought was a question, not a sentence, not a full prayer, just that quiet, aching whisper inside you. Lord, and what do I do?" You woke up with a longing for direction, for clarity, for something unmistakable that could guide you out of the confusion you've been carrying. I felt that urgency rise in your chest, the tension between wanting to trust me and feeling unsure of what step to take next. And I want you to hear me with a stillness that goes deeper than your anxiety. The calm you felt this morning was not emptiness. It was my first answer. You expected a sign that would shake the room. You expected a voice that would drown out your thoughts. You expected something dramatic, immediate, undeniable. But instead, what reached you was a soft quiet, a pause in your spirit, a slowing of the pressure, a moment where the fear loosened its grip. That calm wasn't silence. That calm was me. When you wake up searching for answers, you often look outward first, to circumstances, to people, to the tension of your emotions. But my guidance does not begin around you. It always begins inside you. I steady your heart before I reveal the next step. I settle your spirit before I open the door. I calm your thoughts before I make the path visible. Because what good is clarity if your heart is too overwhelmed to recognize it? You say, "Lord, I don't hear you." But I say, "You felt me." You say, "Lord, I'm afraid of choosing wrong." But I say, "I will not let your steps fall outside my care." You say, "Lord, speak louder." But I say, "First, let me quiet the storm inside you." Your desire for direction is sacred to me. It tells me you still want my will more than your own fear. It tells me you still believe there is a path forward, even when you cannot see it. It tells me you haven't given up on the future I have for you. And I need you to understand this truth with your whole being. Answers often arrive as peace before they arrive as words. That soft calm you felt this morning, that moment where your soul exhaled for the first time in days, that was me placing the first piece of guidance in your spirit. More will come, but it begins here, with the quiet reshaping of your inner world. Now, if something inside you is awakening as you hear this, if you feel understood, seen, aligned, if your heart knows these words are for you, then I want you to mark this moment. Comment: Jesus, I'm listening. Not for attention, not for ritual, but because your declaration becomes the door through which the rest of my guidance will flow. There is a breath your body takes, and there is a breath your soul takes. You often confuse the two. Every morning, before your thoughts fully rise, before your heart has time to protect itself, I watch the way your spirit struggles to breathe beneath the weight of everything you carry. You inhale, but it feels shallow. You exhale, but it doesn't release the pressure inside you. Your body is awake, but your soul is still curled up in fear, and that is when I come closer. I sit in the quiet beside you, in the fragile space between your first breath and your first worry, and I place my presence over your heart like a gentle hand, not to push, not to correct, but to steady you. Because breathing is more than survival. It is the place where your spirit returns to me. You've been carrying so much that your mind barely notices how tense you are. Your shoulders hold memories of yesterday's weight. Your chest holds the echoes of what you haven't told anyone. Your thoughts move faster than your peace, and your emotions rise before your strength does. But when you let me close, when you allow my presence to touch the places you hide, something begins to shift inside you. Your breath deepens, your chest loosens, your thoughts slow down enough for hope to enter. Your fears lose the authority they claimed over you. This is not imagination. This is not emotional instinct. This is the power of my nearness. You say, Lord, I can't control the anxiety. But I say, let me breathe with you. You say, Lord, my thoughts won't stop racing. But I say, let my peace anchor the storm. You say, Lord, I don't know how to slow down. But I say, let my presence teach your heartbeat a new rhythm. When you breathe in my presence, you are not just inhaling air. You are drawing in the strength you lost, the courage you buried, the clarity you didn't know you needed, the softness your heart has been missing. There is a stillness I give you that the world cannot imitate. It is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of comfort. It is not the removal of fear. It is the certainty of being held. I watch you try to handle everything on your own. I see the tension in your body, the way you brace yourself for the day, the way you prepare as if you must survive what is coming. But I never asked you to enter your morning in a state of defense. I asked you to enter it in the fullness of my presence, and in that presence, your soul remembers how to breathe again, not with fear, not with pressure, not with heaviness, but with the quiet assurance that you are not carrying yourself anymore. There is something sacred about the moments before sunrise, those quiet hours when the world has not fully awakened, when shadows linger, and the heart feels everything more intensely. It was in one of those mornings that Mary Magdalene walked toward the tomb, carrying a grief she could barely endure, a confusion that clouded every step, and a love that refused to give up. She did not understand what was happening around her. She only knew that her hope seemed broken, her world felt empty, and the one she trusted appeared gone. Yet even in her sorrow, she moved toward me. Not because she felt strong, but because love carried her when strength had failed. You need to see this. Mary didn't go to the tomb expecting a miracle. She went expecting pain. She went expecting disappointment. She went expecting to face what she feared most. And still, she went. And I met her there. Not in power, not in thunder, not in a blaze of glory, but in the quiet of an early morning, in the stillness of uncertainty, in the depth of her tears. When she looked at the empty tomb, her heart broke all over again. She thought loss had spoken its final word. She believed darkness had sealed the story. She felt the weight of hopelessness wrap around her. But even then, even in her misunderstanding, I was nearer than she realized. She turned, blinded by tears, and I was standing right behind her. She didn't recognize me at first, because sorrow can blur your vision, grief can silence your senses, and fear can drown the sound of my presence. But then I spoke her name, one word, one sound from my voice, and everything inside her shifted. Her grief loosened, her fear shattered, her hope rose again like the dawn itself. She realized that the silence of the morning was not abandonment, it was preparation. It was the setting of a revelation greater than anything she had imagined. And I want you to understand what happened in that moment. Mary did not find me. I found her. I came to her in the very hour she believed she had lost everything. I brought light into the place she expected to face death. I revealed hope in the moment she thought her heart could collapse. This is why I remind you of her story, because some of your mornings feel exactly like hers. You wake up with a heaviness you cannot explain, staring at situations that look empty, believing nothing has changed, feeling like the night has spoken the final word. But just as I did with Mary, I stand behind you long before you recognize my presence. I whisper your name when the world feels silent. I bring light into the very place you fear, and I turn your mourning into revelation. There is a woman I watched this morning long before her day began. Her name is Sarah Mitchell, a young nurse from Ohio who wakes up before the rest of the city, moving quietly through her small apartment, trying not to disturb the neighbors, trying not to disturb the fear inside her chest. She sat on the edge of her bed, hands trembling slightly, eyes still adjusting to the dim light. And before she reached for her uniform, before she tied her hair back, before she stepped into the weight of everything waiting for her at the hospital, she whispered a prayer she didn't think anyone heard. God, I don't know if I'm strong enough today, but please go with me. I was there. I saw how tired she was. I felt the quiet ache she carried from yesterday's shift. Not just the physical exhaustion, but the emotional weight of witnessing pain she couldn't fix, the faces she couldn't forget, the moments she wished she could heal, but didn't have the power to change. She didn't ask me for miracles. She didn't ask me for a perfect day. She simply asked me to stay close. And when she stood up and placed her hand over her chest, I placed mine over hers, not physically, but in a way her spirit felt instantly. Because she wasn't asking for strength, she was asking for presence. And throughout her day, I gave her small signs, quiet moments of grace she didn't realize were answers. When she walked into a patient's room and felt sudden courage she didn't have minutes earlier. That was me. When her mind cleared long enough to make a difficult decision, that was me. When she noticed her fear settling, her breathing steadier, her heart grounded for no logical reason, that was my presence wrapping around her. And at one moment, as she leaned over an elderly patient who could barely speak, he touched her hand and whispered, "You're an angel today." She swallowed the emotion, but I saw the tears she held back, because she knew she had prayed for exactly that, to be enough. Not perfect, not extraordinary, just enough. And I want you to understand this deeply. You are more like Sarah than you realize. You think your prayers go unnoticed. You think your strength is small. You think your mornings are ordinary. But I hear every whispered plea. I stand beside every trembling breath. I multiply every ounce of courage you offer me. And if this story touches something inside you, if you see yourself in her tiredness, her hope, her quiet faith, then I want you to mark it with honesty. Comment, "Jesus, give me the strength I need today." Not because you are weak, but because my strength begins exactly where yours feels thin. There are seasons when your heart feels stuck, as if every prayer you pray disappears into the air, as if every step you take leads you back to the same place, as if the world moves forward while you remain frozen in the same questions, the same battles, the same hopes that still feel out of reach. You look around and think, why does everything seem the same? Why does nothing shift? Why do I still feel this weight inside me? But I need you to understand something deeper than your discouragement. Growth does not always announce itself. Transformation does not always feel like progress. And change rarely begins where you can see it. You think nothing is moving, but I see the exact places where your spirit is being reshaped. I see the patience forming where frustration once lived. I see the courage rising where fear used to sit. I see the healing beginning in the parts of you you thought were beyond repair. Just because the surface looks still does not mean the roots are not growing. Think of a seed beneath the soil. For a long time it appears lifeless, hidden, unmoving. But beneath that silence, something powerful is happening. Cells breaking open, new life forming, a quiet expansion that no eye can see. You don't notice anything until one day. A small shoot breaks through the ground, and only then do you realize how much was happening all along. In the same way, the work I am doing inside you is not always visible. Your emotions may not reflect it. Your circumstances may not mirror it. Your thoughts may not understand it, but your spirit knows because it is responding to me even when you don't feel the response. You say, "Lord, nothing is different." But I say, something deep inside you is awakening. You say, "Lord, I don't feel progress." But I say, you are standing stronger than you were before. You say, "Lord, I still feel broken." But I say, I am stitching what fractured in silence. There are victories happening in places you rarely acknowledge. In the moments you choose hope when fear seems louder. In the times you get out of bed despite the heaviness. In the seconds you breathe through the ache instead of collapsing under it. In the days you keep going even when your heart feels tired. These are not small things. These are not wasted efforts. These are not signs of stagnation. These are signs that something sacred is growing inside you. And I want you to hold this truth tightly. Your story is not stuck. Your spirit is not stagnant. Your life is not paused. I am working in layers you cannot measure, in thoughts you haven't had yet, in strength you haven't felt yet, in breakthroughs you haven't seen yet. And the day will come, quietly, naturally, undeniably, when you will look back at this season and realize everything was changing, even when you thought nothing was. There are moments when the morning light touches your room and your mind begins to race before your feet even touch the ground. Thoughts rush in, some true, some distorted, some shaped by fear rather than faith. You try to make sense of what you feel, but the early hour magnifies everything. Your doubts, your worries, your assumptions about what the day will hold. And this is when I draw near in a very specific way. Not to rebuke you, not to overwhelm you, but to gently guide your thoughts back into alignment with my truth. My correction does not sound like harshness. It does not arrive with accusation. It comes like the warmth of sunrise, soft, steady, almost unnoticed at first, yet strong enough to shift the entire atmosphere of your mind. You often misinterpret my correction as something forceful or heavy. But when I correct you, I do it by lifting burdens, not adding them. I correct by revealing clarity where confusion tried to grow. I correct by softening your heart where fear tried to harden it. I correct by whispering truth into the noise you believed too quickly. There are times when you wake up believing thoughts that are not from me. Nothing will change. I'm alone in this. I'm not enough. I'll fail again. I don't know what God wants. These thoughts settle quietly, sneaking into the first moments of your day. They sound familiar, but they are not mine. And so at sunrise, I speak into those hidden corners of your heart. No, that is not who you are. No, that is not your future. No, that is not the truth I wrote over your life. My correction is me reaching into the fog of your thoughts and clearing the path so you can see again. It is me lifting your chin when your head hangs lower than your hope. It is me placing my peace where fear tried to settle. It is me reminding you that your story does not bend to the lies that chase you. You say, "Lord, I feel like I'm thinking wrong." But I say, "Let me reorder what fear disordered." You say, "Lord, my thoughts spiral too fast." But I say, "Let me slow what has become too loud." You say, "Lord, I feel confused." But I say, "Let me restore the truth you forgot." My correction is protection. It keeps you from walking into the day carrying beliefs that were never meant to live inside you. It shields your heart from the invisible traps, the assumptions, the false narratives, the emotional shadows that would have shaped your choices. And when you allow me to correct you gently, something sacred happens. Your mind exhales. Your spirit rises. Your heart realigns with who you truly are in me. The sunrise becomes more than light. It becomes a reminder that every morning you have the chance to think again, to hope again, to believe again, with thoughts shaped not by fear, but by my presence. There is a sacred space that exists in the first moments of your morning, a space between waking and moving, between your heartbeat and your first thought, between the world calling your name and your soul remembering mine. It is in that fragile, quiet moment that faith begins to breathe again. You often rush past it. You open your eyes, and immediately your mind fills with everything unfinished, everything uncertain, everything heavy. You feel the pull of pressure before you feel the pull of my presence. But every morning, before the noise rises, before the weight returns, before your fears have time to speak, I create a small opening inside you, a gentle pause where your soul can find me before the world finds you. This is the place where faith takes its first inhale of the day, not loud, not dramatic, not overwhelming, just a single breath, soft, real, holy. It is the moment when your spirit remembers that you are not alone. The moment when your heart recognizes my nearness even if your emotions do not. The moment when your mind becomes still enough to sense the quiet whisper of my guidance. You say, "Oh Lord, I can't feel you in the morning." But I say, "You feel me before you even know you feel me." You say, "Lord, I wake up anxious." But I say, "Is your faith starts moving the moment your spirit wakes." You say, "Lord, it's too quiet." But I say, that silence is where your faith finds breath. Faith is not born in noise. Faith is not born in clarity. Faith is not born in moments where everything makes sense. Faith grows in the stillness, in the spaces where you trust me even when nothing feels certain yet. You don't need strength to enter this space. You don't need perfect belief. You don't need emotional stability. You simply need pause, just long enough to feel me reach toward you. When you allow yourself to linger in that breath, even for a few seconds, your entire day begins to shift. Your thoughts become steadier. Your heart becomes softer. Your fears lose the momentum they tried to carry into your morning. Your soul becomes anchored in a presence deeper than anything you're about to face. This small moment, this tiny breath, this quiet space. This is where faith begins its work. And if something inside you is awakening right now, if you feel a subtle pull toward peace, if you recognize that space inside you opening even as you read this, then I want you to do something simple but powerful. Comment, "Jesus, let my faith breathe again." Not as a performance, but as an opening, an invitation, a breath your soul has been waiting to take. Before your eyes opened this morning, before your thoughts formed, before your heart remembered what it has been carrying, I was already beside you, closer than your breath, watching over you with a tenderness deeper than anything you have ever known. You often wake up believing you're stepping into the day by yourself, as if the weight of every responsibility, every uncertainty, every silent fear belongs solely to you. But I need you to understand something that your heart forgets far too easily. You never enter a single day without me going ahead of you. Long before you rise, I am preparing strength you will need, peace you will draw from, clarity you will discover at the exact moment you need it. Nothing you face surprises me. Nothing you carry overwhelms me. Nothing you fear is greater than the presence I wrap around your life. You say, "Lord, I don't feel you in the mornings." But I say, I surround you before your senses awaken. You say, "Lord, I feel unprepared." But I say, I have already stepped into your day before you. You say, "Lord, I'm afraid of what's coming." But I say, I am already standing in every moment you will walk through today. You are not moving through this day uncertain. You are moving through it accompanied. There are things you worry about that I have already resolved. There are situations you fear that I have already softened. There are conversations you dread that I have already entered. There are challenges ahead that I have already filled with the grace you will need. I have walked the path ahead of you not to control, but to protect, to steady your steps, to guard your heart, to place light in the places you expect darkness. You are not walking into chaos unprepared. You are walking into a day I have shaped with purpose. And even in the moments when fear tries to rise, when pressure steals your breath, when your heart beats too fast for reasons you don't understand, I am there, not watching from a distance, not waiting for you to figure things out, but right beside you, holding the parts of you that feel too fragile for the demands of today. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You don't have to perform stability. You don't have to carry the world alone. I am the strength beneath your weakness. I am the calm beneath your anxiety. I am the assurance beneath your doubt. I am the presence beneath every step you will take today. When you rise, I rise with you. When you leave your home, my peace follows you. When you face what feels impossible, my grace lifts you. When you feel overwhelmed, my arms steady you. You are not starting this day alone. You have never started a day alone, and you never will. And now, as all these truths settle inside you, as the weight of this morning begins to loosen, as the light I placed in your spirit rises gently, I want you to feel this with your whole heart. You are not stepping into this day empty. You are stepping into it held. Everything I spoke to you, every whisper, every shift, every breath of faith, every moment of clarity, was not just comfort. It was preparation. You didn't listen to this by accident. You were drawn here because your spirit was ready to receive what your mind didn't know how to ask for. And now, with your heart open, with your soul softened, with your inner world ready to be touched, I want to bring you into a moment of prayer. Not a distant prayer, not a formal prayer, but a prayer that becomes the bridge between everything I whispered today and everything I will walk you into next. Breathe, and let these words be the place where my presence settles over you fully. Come closer, child. Let your heart lean into mine. I place my hands over your mind right now. Every thought that races, every fear that rises, every doubt that tries to steal your peace, I quiet them in my name. I place my hands over your heart, over the wounds you hide, the hopes you protect, the pain you don't know how to release. I steady your heartbeat with my peace. I place my hands over your day. Every conversation, every challenge, every decision waiting for you. I fill those moments with grace before you reach them. I speak strength into the places where you feel weak. I speak clarity into the places where you feel lost. I speak peace into the places where you feel overwhelmed. Nothing ahead of you will be faced alone. Nothing above you will be too heavy. Nothing within you is too broken for me to heal. You are covered. You are held. You are guided. You are loved beyond measure. And as you rise from this moment, my presence rises with you. Now breathe, and let the peace I place in you today become the anthem of your morning. Amen. And while you feel this peace moving through you, while your heart is still tender, still open, still listening, I want you to mark this moment in a way that seals it spiritually. Leave a comment saying, "Jesus, I begin my day with you." Let your own words be the echo of what your heart just received. If my voice touched you today, if something shifted inside you, if you want more messages like this meeting you exactly when you need them, like this video so you don't lose this moment. Subscribe to the channel so my voice continues reaching you. And before you go, watch the video that's appearing on your screen right now, because I will continue speaking to you there, guiding you step by step, layer by layer, morning by morning. I am here. I am with you. And I am not done speaking to your heart.